Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Dgmg podcast. My name is Zoe Lulinski, and today we're just going to be talking about the Week 12 games, my opinions on them, and then give you my new top 10 for the week. Excuse my voice, I am just getting over a cold, so I hope that doesn't bother you guys too much. But let's get into it. So, for my top 10, I have the Lions at 1 again. There's nothing in their game that made me think they'd be any less. I think they're leagues above any other team in the league right now, honestly. I mean, the Bills stand a chance, maybe the Eagles and Chiefs, but I think the Lions are definitely top tier right now. I think the only thing you'd worry about right now is just their injuries. It looks like they're kind of stacking up a little bit right now. You know, Alex Anzalone and Aiden Hutchinson are both out with long-term injuries, two key pieces on their defense. Taylor Decker also left the game this past week with an injury, as well as Carlton Davis, Khalif Raymond, the returner. Monty, I think he mentioned he should be back, good to go against the Bears on Thursday for Thanksgiving. But just things to keep an eye out there for them for sure. Bills I have at 2. They had a bye week, so not much to say about them, but, you know, they're looking great right now. Chiefs, I do have at 3, except I have them really interchangeable with the Eagles at 4. I've mentioned this many times in most of my episodes about the Chiefs, but I think it really shows the character of the team. The fact that they're able to win these close games, even if it is against teams like the Panthers. I think you got to keep an eye out for their defense because their defense looked a little lackluster this past week against the Panthers, especially, I mean, Bryce Young had one of his best games of his career last week, which I'm really happy for him. He deserves it. I love him. I'm a big fan of Bryce Young. Number 4, I have the Eagles. I think a big part of their success is just Saquon Barkley. My pick for fun for MVP would be Saquon Barkley. I don't think he's going to take it. I think it's going to go to Lamar Jackson, where we stand right now, but I just think it would be really cool to see Saquon win. I mean, he's been taking the league by storm this year. All of his insane hurdles, just everything he's doing, he's putting that team on his back right now. Along, obviously, with the talented offense and the defense they have. The cornerbacks and Vic Fangio, like what he's doing with that team, really fun to watch. And then Vikings, I have at 5. It was a very close game against the Bears, but I also think the Bears are an underrated 4-7 team. I mean, the talent they have they have an insane amount of talent on that team, but the Vikings have the number 1 rated defense right now. And then Sam Darnold had over 300 yards, and that was without having Justin Jefferson as a weapon. He was kind of taken out. The Bears were double teaming Justin Jefferson all game, so being able to spread the ball out to T.J. Hawkinson and Jordan Addison, I think that showed some more development for Sam Darnold this season. And then the Ravens, I have at 6. Just Derrick Henry and Lamar, they're making the offense. The offense, I could argue, is number 1 in the league right now. They're insane. The Packers blew out the 49ers. I think, they had a really good game. Josh Jacobs has been phenomenal for them this year, so he's been a lot of fun to watch for them. But then again, it was a 49ers team that had arguably their 2 most important players out with Nick Bosa and Brock Purdy, but still, got them the Packers. They beat the 49ers finally. And then at 8, I have the Steelers. They still have a top defense. Their game against the Browns, they did lose, but it's a divisional game, so those, I think, count a little different. And then 9 and 10, I have the Broncos at 9, Chargers at 10. I love seeing Bo Nix play well, proving all the haters wrong. It's really fun to watch this rookie quarterback class right now. I mean, almost every single one that's playing is putting on a show, so it's a lot of fun to watch. And then for honorable mentions, kind of the same ones I usually have: Texans, Commanders, and Bucks. And then a new one is the Seahawks. I think these 4 teams, could be getting into the top 10 eventually. All playoff contenders. I think the Buccaneers are going to win their division this year. Falcons, I feel like, are doing anything but going up right now. And the Bucks are consistently playing well. Their record doesn't show it, but I mean, they just beat the Giants by 30-7. So they're a fun team to watch as well. And then shout out to that Thursday night football game we had with the Browns and Steelers. First snowy game of the season, and that always puts me in a good mood when we can when we can watch the players have fun in the snow like that. And then big shout out to Jameis Winston. He's got to be one of the most hilarious guys in the league right now. He's always really fun to watch. I recommend listening to all of his interviews. Always puts on a show, always tells a good story. And then, again, the rookie quarterback class, they're a lot of fun to watch. Bo Nix, I think, will win. I think right now it's between Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix. Maybe some other guys can sneak in there. Tyrone Tracy, Drake May, Caleb Williams. But I think Bo Nix will win Offense Rookie of the Year at this point right now. He's doing good, going on a run with the Broncos right now. He's a lot of fun to watch. And then finally, last part of this episode. Sorry, it might be a little shorter today. But just coaches on the hot seat. There's a lot to talk about here. I mean, there's a solid amount of coaches you could talk about. To start off, Brian Daboll on the Giants. I think he's one. I'll go into all of them a bit in a second. But Antonio Pierce on the Raiders, Doug Peterson for the Jaguars, and then Matt Eberflus and Zach Taylor. I think these are 5 guys who are on the hottest on the coaching hot seat. And you may be surprised not to hear a certain name, Mike McCarthy. But I do think it would be funny to see him stay just because of how much hate he's getting from Cowboys fans. You know, just seeing that team. I really think they're in need for just a complete revamp. I hate to say it, but I think completely just rebuilding that team, getting a new coach, draft a new quarterback, develop him a little bit. I think it's just time for a fresh start for Dallas. They've kind of been getting the playoffs and getting one round in at most the last few years, and it's just time to reset everything for them. And then, funny thing, I heard some rumors that Jerry Jones doesn't want to fire Mike McCarthy. Of course, this could be completely false, but it sounds like he's completely fine with keeping him as coach, so we'll see where that ends up. And then 2 other guys that people talk about, Kyle Shanahan and Kevin Stefanski. I think these are 2 tremendous coaches still, and I personally like being a Bears fan, experiencing the carousel of coaches that the Bears hire. I think it's best for the Browns and 49ers to stick with their respective coaches. Great offensive minds. Kyle Shanahan's offense, I think he's like mega mind, always being able to create plays with that team. And then Kevin Stefanski, he's been stuck with Deshaun Watson the last 2 seasons, so I think he gets a bit of an excuse. Give him another year at least to see how he does. And then getting back to the coaches that are truly on the hot seat, in my opinion, Brian Daboll, he's been called out by a couple players this past week of being soft. He seems to have lost the locker room. There's no motivation. I think they got to get rid of him to just kind of reset everything. You know, they got rid of Daniel Jones, give their new quarterback, a new coach as well, see how they play together. And then Zach Taylor, I just think he's wasting talent. He is arguably the best quarterback in the league in Joe Burrow, and then arguably the best receiver in the league with Jamar Chase. And they're 4-7. They're wasting it with that defense. The defense is letting up an insane amount of points. They gotta change something with that team. They just keep coming up short, similar to some of the other teams in the league right now. They're in close games. They've been in close games, but they just keep coming up short, and there's something that's got to change for that team. Whether it be firing Zach Taylor or doing something else, we'll see. And then Antonio Pierce for the Raiders. They fired Luke Getsy, the offensive coordinator, a couple weeks ago, and have lost 2 games since then. So I think they use Luke Getsy as the first excuse. They might let it play out for the end of the year, but I'm interested to see what they do there, because I think it's time to just reset and get the new quarterback, whoever they bring in, a new coach as well. And then Doug Peterson, they've scored 13 points in the last 2 weeks. They did just recently have their bye. Lost to the Lions the week prior, 52-6. I don't see him surviving after the end of the season. Again, another team that's looking for the number 1 pick. I think that's a big reason why they might not fire him. Just glide it out, see where it goes from there. And then lastly, but not least, on the hot seat is Matt Eberflus for the Chicago Bears. I've mentioned the fourth quarter collapses that they've had multiple times on my podcast already, but I think that's a big thing. He has not been able to close out games. Time management has been a little bit questionable. And just a couple of his comments that he made in a press conference is getting a lot of slack from Bears fans with that challenge. He had a huge challenge in the game against the Vikings this past weekend. He challenged a play that gained around 70 yards, and his excuse for that, he did lose the challenge. And his reason for throwing the flag was that it was an explosive play, which doesn't make full-on sense. There's explosive plays in every single game. I think people were just looking for a different type of answer from that. So I'm curious to see what the Bears management and leadership thinks of all of this. To give you some context, he's 5-18 in one-score games in his career, 3-18 in away games total. He has no Sunday away games his whole career with the Bears, and then it's 2-12 in the NFC North. And for a big rivalry like the Bears have with all these teams in the division, that's not going to make fans happy. So I'm curious what the Bears do. They fired their offensive coordinator and have looked much better on offense these last 2 weeks with Thomas Brown calling plays. Caleb Williams has looked like a completely new quarterback. He's back on track with development, so we'll see how that goes if the change in offensive play affects anything for the end of the season. And just to stay in theme of the week, Thanksgiving is coming up on Thursday, and I just want to say one thing I am very grateful for is Caleb Williams, the Bears' next franchise quarterback, next savior of the franchise. I am very thankful for you, Caleb Williams. And, that's it. Don't get me going, and I'll see you guys next time.